Thanks for staying with us. This is the Joy Newsroom. Now to the details of our stories. Conflict and security analyst Colonel Festus Wabi, retired, has criticized government's decision to deploy more military personnel to Boko as a means of resolving the conflict there. The defense minister on February 8 said though there were about 400 military personnel in Boko, government will send 500 more to maintain the peace. Colonel Wabi, retired, says this approach is wrong and the military can only be used to restore calm for negotiations to begin. He's been speaking on Newsfile.
This conflict, as indeed many inter-ethnic conflicts and other conflicts, are never solved through the use of force. And anybody who understands the cultural and historical dynamics of the Kusasi-Mamprosi conflict within the wider Mole-Dagboni conflict between the autochthones and the Nanum, Mamprosi, and Dagbon, let me call them overlords, can never be solved by deploying the military. The military essential is to try and contribute to de-escalation of violence that rose up within a very short space of time, in order that it creates that kind of space, not geographical space, but a space where mediation and dialogue can begin to take place constructively. In doing so, it doesn't help at all that certain utterances by politically exposed persons, including the defense minister, start labeling any or all the parties as criminals. It doesn't help. In fact, the books say that labeling or putting labels on parties in a conflict is counterproductive. It helps to inflame passions. So the first step in dealing with the situation in Boko, which is to de-escalate the tension, is for all sides and all the entities involved, those in power, those in parliament, which indeed has become a proxy to the battle space, must be measured in their statements. But I'm more interested in the deployment of the military, which I understand to be a conflict management mechanism, not a conflict resolution mechanism.
Former Chief Justice Sophia Kufu has described the inclusion of pensioners in a domestic debt exchange program as wicked, rule, and unlawful. She joined the Pensioner Bondholders Forum on day 5 of the picketing exercise to ask Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta to exclude them from the domestic debt exchange program. Mr. Ofori-Atta has been meeting the pensioners this week in an attempt to convince them to sign onto the program. James Aveji reports the last meeting was inconclusive.
It is the third time this week at the Ministry of Finance in Accra. Pensioners have vowed to picket until government exempts them from the domestic debt exchange. But today, there is a star picketer. The former Chief Justice Sophia Kufu had chosen silence for many years, but she couldn't keep her cool and look on for her peers to be handed a raw deal. So she broke her silence.
We've seen these sort of things too many times. I'm over 70 now, and I'm no longer a government employee. My mouth has been ungagged, and I'm talking and I'm saying what I feel. And it's important that the elderly in this nation should be respected. One, I find this wicked, I find it disrespectful, I find it unlawful, I find it totally wrong, period.
She vowed to even go to court as the last resort if government fails to listen to pensioners.
To court? Because there's a contract, and the contract said something. You did not, certainly in what I signed up, there was no clause in there which says when the government becomes and thinks it has become bankrupt, it will not pay you. So long as government has properties, I can sue them and I can claim my entitlements through there.
So she joins the rest to sing the national anthem.
We are singing the anchor anthem. Forever. This is the precious with all I will and mine forevermore.
The finance minister has a position.
The challenge that we have is that we have an economic crisis. We do have an economic crisis. And I think if people truly want the elongated bonds, that's easier to do. It's less burden on us.
The former Chief Justice is unhappy with this position by government.
Why are we in the mess we are in? Nobody has fully explained to us. Yes, debt. Okay, fine. We took debts. What was it used for? Where's the accountability? Exactly what was it used for? You're not telling us about how you're going to be able to make things better, but just that help me and I help you. No, you help yourself first. Let me see you doing something serious.
Wearing long faces, pensioners brood over how they'll be affected if the government includes them in the debt exchange program.
We are retired. This is our only source of income. If you take it away, are you signing our death warrants? It is just not right.
Some could not hide their excitement about having a former Chief Justice adding her voice to their call.
At her level, if she has stopped whatever she needs to do and come and support this cause, then they need to take a second look at it.
Sophia Kufu vows that today will not be the last time joining her peers to picket if the finance minister fails to do the right thing. After hours of engaging the finance minister, the convener of the group, Dr. Edu Anani, informed the media that Kenuforiate's position had not changed.
Well, he hasn't gotten any other response to show that he thinks that we should take, and we say, well, our members have looked at all. Your main concern of tradability, they say don't worry about tradability. They are not interested in that. They want to keep their coupons, their bonds, and get their coupons as they are getting. But if you exempt us, we are more assured than if we decide to opt out. Now we are still want exemption, and we keep on doing what we are doing until we get exemption.
The pensioners packed away their placards, promising to return on Monday.
Now, former rector of the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, Professor Stephen Adair, says he's disappointed at the low quality of basic and secondary education in Ghana. Education Minister Dr. Yao Osei-Duchum has in the past weeks come under a lot of pressure to fix challenges in the sector. Speaking on PM Personality Profile with Aisha Ibrahim, Professor Adair opined that the secret to improving the situation is not to pump in more money, but to be radical in demanding quality from teachers.
It's a sad story.
It is, I think.
It's a sad story. First of all, we have allowed the quality of our basic education to collapse in the public sector. It's so sad. The teachers are not teaching. They are qualified, far more qualified than we were, because mine was you finish start 7 and go for 4 years.
Yes.
These days, they are almost all graduates.
Yeah.
I hear that from today, there will be no people teachers teaching.
Wow.
We were having people teachers teaching alongside with us, and yet we were producing results far more and better.
Yep.
At this moment, if you go to the poor private schools, the people who are teaching there are secondary school dropouts, but all their children are literate. But go to the public sector, the average person cannot read and write because the teachers have refused to teach, and they are being allowed to get away with murder.
So sad.
In teaching in a school, only 3 things matter: the supervision, that's the authority of the head teacher, and the supervising them, insisting that teachers do teach, and holding them accountable. These have been let go at the basic level. And therefore, and you can see it graphically in our school in my village. Do you know that when people come from the 15 junior high schools, we have to spend 1 year with them to make them up to standards that you can now teach them secondary school.
Wow.
When they go to senior secondary school nationwide,
Yeah.
this is the year we are celebrating that 60% passed.
Yeah.
But do you know what even that means? And that is a good result.
Yeah.
It means 40% fail.
40% failed.
And the average over the years is 50%.
Wow.
50% pass and 50% fail. Any education system which produces 50% almost failures
Yep.
is in dire crisis. But do you know why even the 50% passed? First, you will always have some people, God talented and that, no matter what,
Definitely.
if you put him in the hole,
They will still make
the
it.
rest, they have to pay for 2 extra classes.
Yes.
The same teachers, they won't teach them.
Yeah.
It's after the class,
Then
and
they
if you
will
don't
take
go,
extra money and teach
you
it.
will fail.
Yeah.
Because they will tell you, the teachers themselves will tell you, if you don't come, you will fail. And you will fail too.
Quite interesting.
And this is the system we are presiding over. I have always said, you don't need to put more. The government is spending enough money and not getting the right output.
Yeah.
But the secret of changing it is not more money.
Yep.
Simply, and that's my extreme revolutionary one, just give notice and sack all the teachers. Period. 3 months notice during long vacation, you are no longer employed. Then ask people to apply for headship, head teachers and principals.
Yeah.
Select quality ones, put them in the schools, and then say that now, and pay them well, pay the principal and the head teacher about twice their salary.
Yeah.
Because they are so important. And say now you are free to employ whoever you want to employ. Okay. I'll give you the money, but you from today have the authority to discipline them and get the results. And if you don't get the results, you, the head teacher,
you'll be
is
fired.
the one you will be held responsible. Within 1 year, the quality of education will rise from here to there.
There certainly is some food for thought there. Now, the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufo-Dampare, has indicated that long service will not be the only requirement for promotion in the service. At a debate with service personnel in the Bono Regional Capital, Sunyani, the IGP said hard work, performance and dedication will be considered more for promotion or clearance for further studies.
Because this whole idea that we are the people who knows our rights and that why this person is promoted and not promoted, where the laws are there, and you're asking questions about it means you don't read. Don't read your CI. What you should know is something that has never happened before. Has happened on our watch. That type of promotion that was done probably to some few people at headquarters and others, we changed it. Across the country, say at the regional level, and each of district, the commanders there know the people who are killing themselves for this job. Identify them. As long as they are at least 2 years in the around, and we promote them. We did for almost 600 people. So if your name was not in it, it's either you are the type who think that promotion should be time-based. So Metiho, 4 years ago, we are due. But we are introducing another component to give other people opportunity to go to college without writing exam. Performance-based promotion. Everybody who is objective knows that this man is the key investigator of the region. And you bypass him. Say you should go and write exam. The time he will use to study and do all that, he is fixing problems in the jurisdiction. So he doesn't got time to even to study and revise and go and do true and poor. And you have some unenlightened, arrogantly empty individuals in the service making noise. Why did you take this person to go to college? He didn't write exams, and when he wrote the exam, he didn't pass. Now, if you want to go to college by exam, wait when exams come, go and pass. And we too, we were identify the people who change the fortune of this organization and put them and add them to the people who know only broke but not work.
Let's go to Parliament now. There were heated exchanges between the minority and majority leadership over the Electoral Commission's controversial constitutional instrument. The CI seeks to make the Ghana card the sole identity document acceptable as proof of nationality. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kwekwa Asante now reports.
He has been up in arms against the constitutional instrument, warning it will disenfranchise a section of Ghanaians. Deputy Majority Leader Alexander Fenyo-Markin, presenting business statement for next week, indicated the plan to lay the document.
Mr. Speaker, it is expected that the CI will be laid. It is expected. The Electoral Commission may lay its CI. Parliament has a mandate to scrutinize. Parliament cannot also obstruct a constitutional body from undertaking its work.
However, Minority Leader Dr. Keselato Forson forcefully argued that no such agreement had been reached by the Business Committee of the House.
To my surprise, I have seen introduction of the CI, which was never discussed at the Business Committee meeting. For the deputy majority leader who did not attend Business Committee meeting to stand here and to make a pronouncement that this was agreed upon. Mr. Speaker, I'm deeply disappointed in the clerks in particular.
Indeed, both the minority chief whip, Governs Kwame Agboja, and his deputy, Ahmed Ibrahim, in a fiery response, accused the majority leadership of seeking to fraudulently lay the CI in Parliament.
We will cooperate with our counterparts as much as possible to make sure government business goes on. But, Mr. Speaker, little did we know that we cannot trust our colleagues. If we attended a Business Committee meeting, went through page by page, as approved things, only to wake up on the day to see items which were not even discussed. It was not even part of the draft. Speaker, I vehemently oppose the adoption of this fraudulent, bogus, deceitful, dishonest, and smuggling report which is being presented in this House. Yes, Mr. Speaker, this House of the House will not. This side of the House is not going to entertain any fraud in this chamber.
First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joseph Osewusu, directed that the laying of the CI is taken out of next week's order of business.
What has not been agreed should be excluded. If you discuss and you agree, the leader can bring another statement on what has been agreed. So I think to make the way forward, let's exclude what was not part of the business arranged for the week and proceed with what has been arranged for the week. And so direct.
So this new CI that the Electoral Commission is seeking to lay before Parliament is dividing members on both sides of the aisle. Whilst the majority, the NPP side, seem to agree to it, the minority say no until certain elements of this new CI are expunged or taken out, they will not back it. Already we've heard from people like former EC boss Kojo Ferejan, who says that the requirement to make the Ghana card the sole identity document to enroll onto the new voters register or to enroll on the voters register at any point in time at all is unconstitutional and will disenfranchise a number of Ghanaians. And we witnessed those heated exchanges on the floor today. It is a foreshadowing of what is to come when the EC tries again, maybe next week or the next time, through the majority to lay this document in Parliament. Reporting for Joy News, Kwekwa Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
A former Trades Minister, Alan Tremantin, says Ghana would have been raking in $25 billion annually if its presidential special initiatives, especially on oil palm and textiles, have been taken seriously. Speaking on Ho-based Cool FM after touring the Volta region, the NPP flag bearer hopeful also revealed all party executives, including those at the polling station level, will be paid full-time salary and pensions if he gets the nod. Here's Maxwell Agbagba's report.
Some traders at the whole central market singing and dancing to welcome the NPP flag bearer hopeful. Speaking during his tour of the country, he said the NPP needs a flag bearer who can garner 80% of votes in the party stronghold of the Ashanti region, whilst increasing its votes in the Volta region, which is the stronghold of the NDC. He said he's the best person to do that for the NPP, as the people of the Volta region see him as a friend and a brother. So I asked some of the people in the market what they think of Alan Kyerematen.
Alan, he's a man, it's his time now. Now is his season. He has been struggling for a while. Today is his time.
Alan is the best choice for the party at this time, because things are getting too hard. We want somebody who can come and unify the people of this country. Without any hesitation, I am for Alan, and the people of Volta are for Alan.
Speaking in an interview on Ho-based Cool FM, he said the reception at the market was beyond his expectation. He says leaders of the party at the grassroots level will be paid salary and pensions if he's elected flag bearer of the NPP.
That I believe it is only fair that people who work for the party, executives of the party, are compensated appropriately so that they can spend their energy and time and effort to build the structures of the party. If I become the flag bearer of our party, I'll make sure that all executives of the party are on full-time salary, they would have social security, and they will also benefit from a pension scheme. Because I feel that that will build the appetite for our younger people to feel that it is worth sacrificing their lives for the party. You don't need government money to do that.
National level.
All executives.
Even to the branch.
Yes, even to the what we call the police station level.
Alan Kyerematen says Ghana would have been raking in $250 billion in revenue if the country had paid attention to his presidential special initiatives.
I talked about palm oil or oil palm. Malaysia learned about the cultivation of oil palm from Ghana in the early 60s. Currently, Malaysia makes almost $20 billion US, 20 billion, not million, every year from oil palm. Now, can you imagine if we as a country take the oil palm industry seriously and we make only half of that, and if we had continued with the PSIs 22 years ago when I introduced the PSIs, by now every year would have been making minimum $10 billion a year. Cocoa has never given us more than $22 billion a year. Never. Bangladesh earns $30 billion every year just from export of garments alone. So if 22 years ago we are taking what I had been talking about, what I had created, garments and textiles, and we're making only half of what Bangladesh is making, that would have been 15 billion plus 10 billion from the oil palm. We would have made minimum $25 billion every year. I talk about this, Prince, because if you want to lead a country, you need somebody who has a big vision.
While as the race for the NPP flag bearership gets heated, the Alan Kyerematen campaign is raising concerns about online attacks targeted at the former trade minister and some members of his team. Addressing journalists, spokesperson of the campaign, Wabi said some of the attacks have been reported to the relevant authorities for action.
It's very unfortunate that the Alan campaign is coming under continuous cyber attack. We don't want to apportion blame. We don't want to share the sources. But Alan has been attacked 2 or 3 times, including the notable false story that delegates in the Western North told him things that never happened, including the half-based messaging. But worst of all is the 2 nights ago, the egregious attack on me, where A statement I have never made, will never make, and will never contemplate was ascribed to me with my picture and circulated very, very widely on the internet. A virulous attack on my personality and my person, all because we are pushing a humble, courageous leader to freshen politics in Ghana. Please, 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 the Allen campaign will remain decent. I completely disclaim whatever has my image on it with that nasty message that I will not even repeat here. A message so nasty, I can't imagine is coming out of a political brain, a brain that should be put to good use for the benefit of Ghanaians.
The Vice Chancellor of the University of Media, Arts and Communication, Professor Kwamena is questioning a threat by the Ghana Institute of Journalism chapter of the University Teachers Association of Ghana to withdraw from UNIMAC merger. He says his office is yet to receive any official complaint from lecturers concerning the charter, contrary to media reports. He's been speaking on Joy Campus.
Every merger or everything, people have concerns. So my understanding is that UTAC GIG had some concerns. They had a meeting where they raised some of those concerns. They were supposed to put things together and meet management, something along those lines. And then somebody leaked the minutes of said meeting. So they didn't even go out, that's what UTAG executives told me. They didn't go out to the media to say, this is our story even. So
officially you haven't received the minutes of that meeting?
No, I haven't. I cannot say UTAC has given me ABC, these are my concerns, and these are their concerns, and so I am proceeding to respond to them. Because they have not officially communicated that to me, all I know is what was in the media. Most of the stories said GIJ UTAC threatened to withdraw. The idea that GIJ UTAC can threaten to pull out of the merger is a non-starter. GIJ did not create the merger. NAFTI did not create the merger. GIL did not create the merger. We are a public institution, UNIMAC. For any one part of those in the merger to say we want to pull out and be what? You don't exist as GIJ anymore. If you want to stretch it and extend things, the best anyone who has serious concerns about this or doesn't want to be part of this merger can do is to resign.
You can catch the full interview that airs right after this bulletin with a repeat on Sunday at 11 a.m. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back. Now, personnel protecting the Wabi Wildlife Sanctuary in the Ashanti region have clashed with a road contractor over the destruction of 2,000 economic trees. The removal of the trees, valued at more than 4 million Ghana cedis, is to make way for the construction of a new bridge at Atafua on the Brekese Road, but the Wabi Wildlife Division says the move was abrupt and came with no notification. Love FM's Erastus Asaridonko has more.
The Owabi Sanctuary is the first Ramsar site, the only inland wetland in Ghana. The reconstruction of the flood-prone Atafua Bridge, contractors say, will affect the Atafua Wildlife Camp and the 2,000 mahogany and framo trees grown and nurtured over 7 years ago to protect the dam. Majority of these economically viable trees you see here, about 2,000 of them are the mahogany and framo species, grown and nurtured for over 7 years by the Wildlife Sanctuary protecting the Owabi Dam. Now this was specific, but then all these trees are going to be uprooted and destroyed from today and tomorrow, and that destruction has started from the bridge over there. The contractor moved in on Friday and started destroying the economic trees and moved towards the demolition of the camp building. But the wildlife personnel resisted the move, demanding official communication from local authorities to management of the sanctuary.
They have not informed our management, and we cannot allow them to destroy the trees without any communication.
Chief Resource Guide of the Wabi Wildlife Division of the Forestry Commission, Yakubu Noga, tells Love News the move will affect their stay and years of afforestation.
Our main worry is the destruction of these valuable trees nurtured over the years by afforestation personnel. Growing these trees came with a huge cost, and the nation is yet to benefit from them. If they destroy our camp, where are we going to stay to protect the dam?
Management of Nat Famous Construction Limited will not speak with Love News. But a letter written by the Regional Highways Authority dated 10th February 2023 notified the division of the rehabilitation of the Abrepo Junction Barakese Offensu Road. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Kumasi.
Now, authorities at Bamahu MA Junior High School in the Wa municipality of the Upper West region are heaving a sigh of relief following the donation of dual desks to the school. The makeshift structure of the school was gutted by fire, resulting in the burning of the furniture, which forced school authorities to move academic activities to an uncompleted structure. Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports.
First year class of Bamahu MA Junior High School, comprising of 74 learners, equally divided into two separate classes and named JHS 1A and 1B. They were kept in two separate makeshift structures constructed with branches of trees, straws, and old used crumbled roofing sheets. Before the start of the month, this makeshift structure used by the JHS 1B and appears to be stronger than the one used by their colleagues got gutted by fire. The fire swept through the already dried logs and straws akin to a hot knife going through battered bread. The Bamahu Chief's compound close by was also affected by the uncontrolled inferno. They lost everything, including the furniture they have always complained was inadequate for their learning. One municipal chief executive, Isako Tair Mumin, who on Monday was at the school to assess the extent of damage, returned with 20 dual decks for the 37 young learners, valued at 10,000 Ghana cedis.
And in addition to this furniture, we are also giving you 30 bags of cement to support with the ongoing community-initiated project. At least that we know will assist to complete the block. Whilst we go to put our house in order to see how best and how fast we can get you a complete DHS block. So this is far advanced in our plans, and we are ready to do that. We know that education is a bedrock for every nation, and it is a prerequisite for development. And as a representative of a government who has the people at heart and development, and of course education as core as its mandate, we are not going to relent in our effort to support you.
One municipal director of education, Sophia Dumananjo, commended the one mayor for a swift action.
Very pleasant surprise because the response has been very swift. We are very grateful to the Honorable MCE, and our prayer is that just like he has responded to this need swiftly, he will respond in the same way to all the other needs of our basic schools, which are so many, which we have presented to him. He has responded to others also, but I must say not as swift as this one. So our expectation or our hope is that this is the beginning of the swift responses to the challenges that we have presented and will continue to present to him.
Equally happy were the pupils.
I feel happy that they brought furniture for us to sit comfortable and learn. we were not having furniture, but now we have furniture. I have to say thank you for the giving us furniture.
The Bamau Eme Junior High School headmaster, Yusuf Abdul Rahim, was thanking the mayor for the kind gesture, urged the assembly to do more.
Having provided us with these funds, it will go a long way to make our classrooms very conducive for teaching and learning to take place. And in fact, like the director did mention, this is not the only class that has that challenge. If you go through the rest of the classes, you would have realized that we are still in dire need of furniture. So I will plead with our Minister Chief Executive to still come to our aid as we are still in need of more furniture. I think with that, it will go a long way to facilitate teaching and learning. As you can see this structure, you would have realized that the floors are not screeded, the walls are not plastered.
One major challenge faced by authorities of Bamau MAGHS is this makeshift structure that is being used as a staff common room. The Ward mayor disagreed with them on its use as a staff common room, but was quick to add that plans are far afoot in fixing the situation for them.
Technically, this is not a staff common room because the block has headmaster's office and a space for staff who will be ready to write their lesson notes and whatever.
So it is what?
So by looking at it, with the presence of the mentees, we think that it is not enough for them because in future mentees will still come. So in our plans to give them a classroom block, we are considering adding up a space enough to contain the teachers as their common room. And in future, when they have mentees, at least they can all be accommodated.
For now, authorities and pupils of Bamau MAGHS are happy with the swift response of the One Municipal Assembly. It is their hope that they will act same in other concerns raised by the pupils. Reporting for the news, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
Time now for the Joy News editorial with Benjamin Akakpo. This week, we focus on the economy, the debt exchange program, and how the general finance of our motherland, Ghana, is being handled.
Going to the IMF. Whatever we do, we are not. The consequences are there. We are a proud nation. We have the resources. We have the capacity. We are not people of short sight.
We will not go to the IMF. The story has now changed to this.
Let me truly express appreciation to the IMF in general, and in particular to the IMF Managing Director and management. This is quite historic in terms of the speed in which we have come to this. The path that Zambia, Chad, and Ethiopia have gone to, we can see that this is quite a miracle in its making.
Now, we do need the IMF loan, else our economy will collapse. Our vice president accused the previous government of excessive borrowing, but this government has pushed this country into a puddle, or more appropriately, a quagmire of debt. We keep slipping deeper and deeper into the quicksand of our leaders' poor economic choices, even while we struggle to get out. We struggle, yes, but with precious little to show for our effort. The government was forced to restructure its debt and thus came up with this domestic debt exchange program. Mr. President, why are you making people who loaned your government money through bonds so anxious? Why make them beg for what is rightfully theirs, their own money? This situation has compelled pensioners who should be resting and enjoying the fruit of their service to the country an investment rather to pick it. Left with no choice, they have abandoned the comfort of their homes and are rather pleading with your government not to include them in the debt exchange program. Some will be using the money for dialysis and medical treatment, lest they perish.
I'm an old man. I have so many type of diseases. I can't tell you all. But I spend a lot on drugs. And very soon, I'll start dialysis, and I need my money for it. That's why I'm waiting. When the September comes, when I collect my money, I will start the dialysis.
One, I find this wicked, I find it disrespectful, I find it unlawful, I find it totally wrong, period.
President Akufo-Addo, some of these senior citizens are your colleagues in terms of age. Some of these people actually are even older than you are. These people are not young people basking in youthful exuberance. They do not have energy for that. Your mismanagement of the economy, however, has yanked them out of their homes and brought them to the finance ministry begging for their own hard-earned money. Now, let's listen to the best answer the president's cousin and finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, could give the pensioners when they picketed at his ministry.
The fight that we are presumably fighting here is a difference between 15 and 18.5%. The cost of that may be that we may not get an IMF clearance. The challenge that we have is that we have an economic crisis.
Why, we ask, should the elderly sacrifice when your government is living large? People have complained about cutting down the size of your government, but you refuse to listen. You promised to protect the public purse, but that is not what we see.
You and I, you walk around and you see a lot of waste all along. And you don't want to do anything, and you want me to take a haircut. I don't know, with a little bit of hair left on my head, I want it on my head. I'm not going to take a haircut, and I'm not encouraging any Ghanaian to take a haircut.
You rented expensive private jets and refused to tell us how much it cost the taxpayer. Your many appointments are leeching us, sucking us dry. Ghanaians are not asking for too much. We want a drastic reduction in your expenditure. Times are hard for the ordinary Ghanaian. Need I remind you, Mr. President? Through our Living Standard series, we have realized that many people are adjusting their family budgets. From taking cornflakes and fresh milk in the morning, some have switched to maize or millet porridge. Some people are no longer spreading their bread with jam, marmalade, and butter. They are now spreading bread with groundnut paste, while some who are worse off have to take it raw, just as it is. Some have parked their cars and are now using public transport. Some are skipping breakfast and sometimes lunch so they can eat just supper. People are making changes on the daily. That is what Ghanaians are asking you and your government to do. Trim the fat. Cut your coat according to your cloth. Do what is needed and stop the profligate spending now. Mr. President, when you were campaigning, this is not what you told us. This is not what you promised the people of Ghana.
You're still watching The Joy Newsroom. We'll be right back with business. Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah has assured the newly elected executives of the Advertising Association of Ghana of his utmost support to ensure that the draft advertising bill is passed. The bill, which is expected to regulate the practice of advertising in Ghana, has been in the pipeline for some time now without any further attention. Speaking at the 8th investiture ceremony of the President and Executive Council of the Association, Mr. Nkrumah declared his commitment to get the Trade Minister to fast-track work on the bill.
Work on the advertising bill has been going on in the last couple of years after the Ministry of Trade and Industry and the Advertisers Association of Ghana saw the need to regulate the industry. The rising interest in the profession and the need for ethical advertising has made the bill critical. Speaking at the 8th investiture ceremony of the association, Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah said government will prioritize the bill.
The much talked about advertising bill needs to, as a matter of urgency, to bring the necessary regulatory backing, standards, and framework for the quick advancement of this industry. Any industry that doesn't sort out its regulation quickly struggles. In markets where this industry has excelled, it has excelled within a properly regulated environment. I do know how much work you have done already in the preparatory stages, and I'd like to assure you that when all is ready, my doors at the Ministry of Information are open to help you see the draft bill passed into law. Indeed, my uncle, the Honorable K.T. Hammond, who has just been nominated as Minister responsible for Trade and Industry, will take his seat very soon, and I look forward to leading you to pay a courtesy call on him to ask for his support so that we have it passed ASAP.
In his first address, newly inducted president of the association, Andrew Aka, underscored the need for regulation in the industry.
In fact, you don't need to look hard, as the minister said, to see the number of billboards on our roads that are nuisance and danger to road users. Although the AAG, Metropolitan Authorities, and the Highway Authority have done a great deal of work to solve this, the problem persists and worsens by the day. It still beats my imagination how a 10-kilometer Spintex road can have 1,500 faces of billboards and signages. The standard promotes 80 to 100 meter spacing in between billboards for compelling visual impact. Technically means that we should be having only 100 boards on that 10-kilometer road. Now, another example, Akon decluttered the billboards in Nigeria, specifically in Lagos, and now the city has better billboard hoardings and better pricing both for vendors and for the authorities.
The newly elected president, Andrew Aka, is taking over from Mansa Amwa Iwua, who served for 2 years.
Investment Promotion Center says it is still on course to promote the country's friendly business environment and industrialization agenda to the international investment community. This is despite challenges faced with the economy, forcing government to seek an economic program with the International Monetary Fund. Speaking to Joy Business, Chief Executive Yofi Grant said the current condition is just temporary and a good industrialized economy is the way to go.
I mean, the very, very inspiring pronouncement of a Ghana beyond aid resonates clearly in almost every African country that we have the resources, we have the people. Why do we depend on aid to grow our economies? It just doesn't make sense. So President Akufo-Addo, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, came and said, no, we need to change this narration. And so all through this period that he's been president, he has built an architecture of transformation. First, starting with free SHS. People think that it's just a populist thing. No, it's not. Can you imagine what will happen in 5 to 10 years now? The minimum education of the average Ghanaian will be high school education. It didn't exist like that before. Prior to that, every year, 100,000 school kids fell off the line at JHS at the ages of 10, 13, and they had no recourse to any further education because either they couldn't afford it, or two, they just didn't have access because there were no remedials for them to go back. But if we have this senior high school thing, at least when you get to the end, you are better qualified, you leave school at a much more responsible age, 18, 19, you may either go on to university, you may go to a technical school, or at least you can make more structured decisions concerning your life. It is extremely important. If you look at almost every country that had made that quantum leap or step up in development, it's because they focus first on education. For lack of knowledge, my people perish, and reach them with knowledge, and they grow, they thrive. But that's just one. The second thing is, we do recognize that the economies that we've had in the past decades, since post-independence, where we are just exporting our raw materials and not adding value to them, have not in any way been able to grow our economies in a sustainable way. And perhaps the policies we had were also not helpful. So a new policy comes and says, okay, how about starting to industrialize with a one district, one factory? That means every district, the 261 districts in this country, must have at least one factory. It started like that. In 2, 5, 4, 6, 10 years, it may be 20 factories in each district. It may be 50, it may be 100. And before you realize, under your own eyes, you have an industrialized country where we are adding value to almost all our resources. That is the direction in which the country wants to go, but it's just not that.
And that's it for business. We'll be right back with world news. And that's all for the bulletin here in the Joy Newsroom. We're back again in the evening. Have a good afternoon.